So how do you change the default SSH port on CentOS 9? The first thing that we're going to do is run the following command to open the sshd_config file and modify the SSH port number. So the code editor that I'm choosing is vim etc ssh sshd_config :set and new to set the numbered lines, to exit out of command mode, enter insert mode, and then we change the port 22 to our desired port number, 49,995, escape to exit out of insert mode. Also, if you want to search in Vim, just wanted to mention that you would just do a / and then our term, and then lowercase n for the next instance. So after we search the term, enter, lowercase n for the next instance, capital N for the previous instance, and then, earlier we saw that there was only one instance of port 22. So we updated the to our desired port number, 49,995, :WQ to write and quit the file, system, CTL restart, SSHD. So if SELinux is involved, you can't simply change the port without letting the security system know. So let's allow the new SSH port on SELinux by running the following command: semanage port -a -t SSH_port _t -p TCP 49,995. So let's confirm that the new port has been added to the list of allowed ports for SSH by running the following command: semanage port -l pipe delimiter grep SSH, and we see it there. So if you prefer using the netstat command, you can also check with netstat -tunlp. So let's open the port on Firewalld, firewall -cmd -add -port equals 49,995 /TCP -permanent. Then firewall -cmd -reload. And then we can list the open ports using Firewalld, firewall -cmd -list -ports. And we see it there. Also, to establish an SSH connection after this change, we would enter the following command to specify the new SSH port. So we'll just go over the basic syntax, which is SSH, and then our username, and then the IP address of the server, and then we would do -p, and then our new port. Also, something else that I wanted to mention is that when we go back to the sshd_config file, and we go to the bottom of the file, something that you could do is add allow users asterisk et, and then put the IP address. So to allow only specific IP addresses to your Linux machine, would add the following here to your sshd_config. And then, of course, you would just do the systemctl restart SSHD to restart the SSHD service. So the next thing that I wanted to mention is that all authentication related events in CentOS are logged, and these, including successful and failed login attempts, are logged in the var log secure directory. This log file can be very useful to detect possible hacking attempts. Setting the port to a different number should drastically cut down on the number of attempts to crack SSH. Now, also, if you wanted to undo, for some reason, if you wanted to undo what we just did, so we would go back to vim etc ssh sshd underscore config lowercase gg to go to the top of the file, colon set and new, colon 21 to go back to that port line. Say you wanted to go change it to 49,994. Enter into insert mode, escape to exit out of insert mode, back into command mode, colon WQ to write and quit the file. So remember, we did earlier, we allowed the new SSH port on SELinux. Let's delete that port. So SEmanage port -t SSH underscore port underscore T dash P TCP 49,995. And then the arrow key, let's do the up on the arrow key and go back to that command to add it. All right, so we're going to add it. We deleted 49,995. Let's add the 49,994. And then, so now if we go to SEmanage, port -L, pipe delimiter grep SSH, and then we can see it there. Also, to remove a port, firewall cmd -- we want to remove that port, so remove -port equals 49,995 /TCP -- permanent. Reload. Clear the terminal. We're gonna add that actually, yeah, let's remove it. And we're adding 49,994. Okay. So now let's go to the list of ports. All right, firewall cmd reload. And then we see it here. So the last thing that I wanted to mention is, so the standard SSH port on most Linux machines is port 22. So every hacker trying to access your SSH server will first attack this port. Most ports are closed by default, and ports are like doors to your environment. So changing the default SSH port adds an extra layer of security by reducing the risk of your password being cracked from a brute force attack. So port 22 is subject to numerous unauthorized attempts by attackers who want to gain access to unsecured servers. Port numbers range from 0 to 65,535. Port numbers 0 through 1023 reserved for common TCP applications and are called well-known ports. And it's important to select a port that is not already in use by other services. It is advisable to opt for a custom SSH port within the private ports range 49,152 to 65,535. So the next thing that I wanted to mention is, let's see here. So the next thing that I wanted to mention is that I'm putting a link into the description of a recap on what we talked about today.